And we're live. Welcome to Earful of Dirt, the Major League Rugby podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm Corey Munson, coming to you live from Iowa. I'm joined, as always, by Aaron Castro in Arizona and Liam Madigan-Freed in Massachusetts. And we've got a very special guest this week, our brother in podcasting, Victor O. Perez, out in New York City, here to talk about his experiences along with Aaron and I at the Rugby Weekend. So, how was your week, guys?
Awesome! Rugby!
I gained 8 pounds in Chicago.
I don't blame you.
I got ready to move.
So I was at the Lost Afternoon, and Corey decided to pop in because he got to town early, so he went. But I was speaking to Steve Cohen, the one of the major executives at Name Drop. Yeah. No, we're friends. I've met him twice now. But he was like being sociable. Really cool dude. He's very sociable. He was being sociable, and he was like, I like Chicago, but it's one of those cities I don't visit it that often because when I do, I gain 20 pounds. And you know what? I now understand because I gained 8 pounds in this trip. Oof.
Liam, how's that packing coming?
It's coming all right now. It's mainly just going shopping for stuff like for the actual trip there. I'm going to be driving alone, so more than likely I'll be ended up chopped up in some serial killer's garage. So if you guys don't hear from me, just go ahead and assume that I'm gone.
And I've done 5 country trips thanks to the Army. You will be fine as long as you're staying in hotels and not at a truck stop.
Oh no, dude! On the side of the road in the wilderness, man. Fucking, that's how I roll.
You're so gonna get Sasquatched.
Oh, yo. You will be missed, Liam. I'll tell you that much. Right, you will definitely be missed.
Victor, did you do anything fun this week?
Besides hanging out with you and getting ditched by Castro because he got drunk. Yo, Aaron, I hate you so much, bro. But you know what? I gotta let that slide. No. It was good. I had a lot of fun.
So we were at this bar, right? So Victor, I guess if my significant other decides that she wants to give us a click and listen to this, she's gonna get. I was trying to get Brooke to go out, so I got her to go. And we planned for everyone to meet up at Fado, which is this Irish bar in Chicago.
Really good, by the
way. Victor and Corey got in there when you could go in stairs or downstairs or whatever. There were less people there. The Irish had not come out for the night, and there were a lot of real Irish people in this bar, not like fake Irish, not American, not Irish, not American Irish people, but people like from across the pond. And so when we got there, when Craig Gradelli and his wife got there, and I got there with Brooke, you could only go upstairs. And at a certain point, Corey texts me. He's like, "Hey, bro, where you at?" And I'm like, "Upstairs." And he's like, "This place has it upstairs?" I was like, "Yeah." There's a band blaring right behind my head, and it wasn't so loud that my ears are still ringing, but it was loud, and I had to shout all night, which is why my voice. But and then after a while, Corey goes, "Hey, bro, you gonna come down? We need to have a photograph or something." And I'm like, "Well, bro, we're gonna leave soon because." I really don't want to be out and over. I don't want to drink a lot. And then, shout out to Craig Gradelli, who's saying, "Let's party." And he asked me if I want a beer, and I'm just sort of like sipping this Carlsberg, the second Carlsberg. And then he decides to buy shots. And I stopped looking at my phone. And then when I look at my phone and I say, hey, they're allowing, people are going and allowing more people up. I'll come down. Are you still here? Let's do this. And we left, bro. Next time. I was like, oh. But yeah, so it got to the point where it was so crowded, they wouldn't let you go up or downstairs. Like there was no inner outflow of this bar.
It was pretty crazy. Yeah, I talked to the bouncer because I was trying to get upstairs to see you, and he said that both levels were at capacity and nobody was moving anywhere. So it's kind of a weird situation. But we had a good time. I had a great time hanging out with Victor, along with some legit Irish guys who were just off their freaking heads, out of their heads.
Okay, there's one at every rugby game, no matter what. I'm pretty sure it's actually the law.
Exactly. So let me just take the word for this. So first of all, shout outs to Neil, who was the guy sitting next to us. He lives in Toronto, but he's originally from Ireland. He's really cool to talk to. He's a photographer. Look him up on Instagram. He's following us. I'm sure he will like the publicity. He was with a friend of his. I didn't call his name. All I know, and Corey says no, he doesn't look like him. Is like if you see him from profile, he looks just like Tash Leader. He looks just like him. Only thing is I love that.
I mean, I saw Tag Leader, Tig, not Taj. Tig.
Oh, okay.
Tag.
Thank you.
Because I get corrected every guess by a different Irishman. Every time.
I gotta correct you.
Different Irishman. That's like, no. You pronounce Tag is as Tig, like Tiger.
Tig. Thank you. Or should I say Guraf Mahagut? I think that's thank you for Irish.
So I saw Tig, and I guess I'll talk about. I guess we can talk about that now on Friday night, and he is just planning to play with Boston. They're supposedly going to put the side together and tour Ireland, but he does not plan on getting loaned out to any of the MLR teams. I guess when he gets back to Boston, if that happens, he and Alex Magleby will have that discussion, but he does not plan on that because he is, I don't know, Boston apparently has this full special piece in his life in immigration story, I guess. I don't know.
Well, Boston certainly is a special place, and as we have learned about a week ago now that the Free Jacks are going to be having a combine coming up, where they're going to be looking for local talent to kind of show what they got. So that's available on their Facebook page if people are interested in that. So if they're trying to put together an exhibition squad with more local talent than what we saw in the game versus the Arrows, that's probably the place to start. And so it looks like we're going to be seeing something more localized with that team coming up.
So before we get too far into Rugby Weekend talk, I should probably tell everybody who's watching who we are and what we're doing here.
8 minutes into the podcast.
Yeah. So for those of you new to the podcast, we're Earful of Dirt. We do this each and every Monday night where we get together and we discuss news, rumors about Major League Rugby, the United States Professional Rugby Union. It's a chance for us to discuss the issues, hear from league officials, players, and team leadership, and check in with our friends across the U.S. rugby scene. With all that said, Aaron, can you fill us in on what we're covering tonight?
All right. Rundown for this evening is the Rugby Weekend. Then we've got squad changes for the rest of the tour, the USA Samoa preview. The ARC schedule dropped today, which I'm happy about because it didn't drop until like mid-December last year. MLR, Major League Rugby, the podcast about why we are together. Why this podcast is together, rather, added 2 teams, official as of last Friday morning. The Toronto Arrows and DC Major League Rugby. So,
spoiler alert.
On to the show.
Yeah. So, as we've hinted at strongly, Aaron, Victor, and I all went to Chicago this weekend for the Rugby Weekend, which was a live 3-match set at Soldier Field, home of the Bears, Dub Bears. There was more than 35,000 fans. I guess the official total was 35,051 people in attendance. They got to see the USA women's team lose to the Black Ferns, the USA men's team lose to the Maori All Black, and watch Ireland pretty well demolish Italy. So no game was particularly close, but there was a lot to be entertained by, and there was a lot to enjoy. So I guess I'll just kind of share a few quick observations before we jump too far into analysis of the matches themselves. I will say, even though we had a count of over 35,000, the stadium itself, once you got past the first two levels, it was pretty few and far between as far as filled seats. So, I guess it's a stadium of about 55 to 60,000. I think I heard somebody say. So it makes sense that if there's 35 there, it would be a little bit sparse. But the folks that were there were engaged, and they were really having a good time cheering for the Eagles, and a lot of folks cheering for Ireland as well. So this is my first time in a major professional sports venue, just period. I think I went to a White Sox game maybe 20, 25 years ago, but other than that,
old-ass man.
Old-ass man, never got out of Iowa.
That was before I was born.
Yeah, so that was just neat. And then, of course, getting to hang out in the press booth was pretty amazing. They take care of you up there. Not only is it climate controlled, which is really nice, not having to wear a coat, they also had all you wanted fountain drinks and water, and they fed us. It was great. So shout out to the hospitality crew.
How was that box lunch?
Oh, the box lunch was fine. I had a turkey sandwich. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it wasn't as good as the Italian beef I'd had the night before, but I'll take it.
The press guide that the Maori and Ferns is pretty dope. It is 107 pages long.
And did you read all of it before you got to the game, Aaron?
Well, it was issued at the game, but just
I'm
saying,
sure you had it all read by halftime then.
Yeah, pretty much. But of the first match.
Oh, the first one, yeah.
Of the first match. But all I'm saying is the press guide. That was the only press guide that was available.
It is interesting seeing the professionalism of New Zealand compared to everybody else. So it is next level. It really is. Probably, yeah. One of the more interesting things was when I was standing around talking to some of the guys, the Chicago natives up in the press booth. One of them observed and kind of noted that he felt like the event itself was something that was happening in Chicago. It wasn't so much a Chicago event. And I guess I can see where he's coming from, since these are, not Chicago local teams that are playing. They're national and international teams.
I wonder if that's a criticism of the event this year versus and probably would be similar to the time we played Australia in Chicago. But when we played the All Blacks the first time, we sold 60. It was sold out, 64,000. When Ireland played Chicago, it was sold out again. Whereas this, there were 500 junior hockey teams in town for a tournament. There was what seemed all sorts of college conferences, because you heard like freaking college kids talking about different like political things on some type of macro legal level. It was really weird, to be honest. To be in a hotel where there seemed that there was some type of weird school conference, having been out of college almost 6-7 years, 8 years. Jeez, I'm old.
Probably the other thing I really enjoyed about just walking around the stands and kind of taking it all in was how many jerseys, jackets, and hats there were from clubs. A lot of Midwest clubs, but really clubs all over the country. And that, even if it was not a Chicago event, it was definitely a national event and something where the rugby community really had a chance to come together. And that was awesome. That was fantastic. I saw some folks I didn't know that were from Iowa that loved rugby, and so that's always fun. And even ran into a Hawkeye fan here and there. So can't beat that.
Here's something. So here's my major criticism of this event. So when we walked in, Ireland was giving out flags. Case in point, there you go. IRFU, Vodafone flag.
It's like, I don't know.
No USA Rugby flags.
It's like political manipulation of some sort. I mean,
it's not political manipulation. It's like
no shit. But like, it's. I mean, like, if there's one way to kind of get your colors into the stands. It's
It was like, so it's. I mean, they were the marquee match. I mean, you look at the advertisement, but the U.S. is still playing. Why aren't we doing the same thing?
Because little flags cost money, and
our unions
that's money that's not necessary to spend. And like, even though it would be great to give fans flags like at every single game, that would kind of accumulate, for every test match. And I guess there's a ton of criticism for USA Rugby spending irresponsibly. So why would we spend it on little mini flags?
Well, maybe our sponsor, UL or Emirates, would flip that bill. Just saying.
That's an option. That's an option. It's good. It's good to not complain without it.
Up in people's homes, you can help us out with some flag manufacturing and put your logo on it. Tush activation.
Boom. Hey, Victor. So I probably spent the most time with you over the weekend, and so I know we've talked about this a lot. But what did you think of it?
Well, I have a lot of fun. First of all, so. I want to say publicly, thank you, Corey. It was great hanging out with you. Had a lot of fun. First time I actually hang out with someone from the Midwest, so that was an experience, I have to say. I'm sure I'm your first Dominican.
So text me, Victor. Just point this out. Victor texted me. Hey, it's Victor the Dominican.
No, that's not true.
No. It's Dominican Victor.
Thank you.
I was like, you could have just said it was Victor.
I don't know how many Victors you know. It's specifically that I'm Dominican Victor. Oh, yeah, that bastard. Okay.
Well, I mean, like, how many Victors did you think he expected to be contacting him on that?
I don't know. So just to be sure.
Dominican Victor, or is this Victor with the funny eye?
The funny eye, exactly. You never know. No, but I had a lot of fun. Oh, first of all, real quick with the scores of the games, because we haven't mentioned it. So, women's Eagles against Black Ferns, 67-6. I don't know about you guys. I had flashbacks to 2014 when the men lost 72-6. I was kind of mad about that, but it's what it is. That's how you get better. Ireland beat Italy 54-7. Fun fact: I was probably one of maybe 4 people in the whole stadium with an Italian jersey. The reason why I did that is because I need to support my fellow Latin brothers. I'm a Spanish speaker. Italian is a cussing tongue. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go and go in my Italian jersey, which really like some of the Irish looked at me and said, I got like a couple of weird looks. I said, wait a minute, this brown brother with his Italian jersey? It was like that. Also, fun fact:
people from Africa haven't immigrated to Italy. Come on.
Well, of course they have, but it's like, you wouldn't see that in the States though. That's what makes it weird. So this is the thing. What happened? I ended up going to the Prime Sport, which is a company that was doing the hospitality. I went up on their tour or trip of sorts in the going to the field about 30 minutes before the start of the game, and I was there with I want to say I was probably one of 20, probably, and everyone had some Ireland, some stuff with them. I was the only one with Italy stuff. Right, so we were on the Italian side of the field as I were practicing, right? So every time I saw the Italian guys, I would just scream their names. I would go, like, for example, to the fly halves, Carlo, Ian, and they would turn around, and they would just wave. Ian McKinley, the Irish-born Italian guy, he turned around and said, Ian, yo, how you doing? So, that. Their attack coach saw him. He said, oh, dude, you're wearing because it's Irish. He said, oh, yo, mate, you're wearing the right jersey. He went up to me. We knuckle touch. That was fun. And I go up to him and said, so, coach, how are we looking for the game? Said, we had to see, mate. So, okay. Couple of I saw the referees running next to me as I was screaming at them. They were like focus. A couple of other players too that were focused. I mean, I screamed their names. They didn't look at me at all. Then, as we were leaving, I saw Niall Owens very close to me, and I don't know why it just came to me, and I said, "Hey, Niall, love you," and I just like pointed at him, and he just like pointed at me and gave it the thumbs up. Like, dude, Victor, you could have said anything but that, and I did.
Nigel, you're my hero.
You're my hero. I could have just said that. Yeah, I messed it up. No, it was cool about it. So I had a lot of fun. And of course, USA men's lost to Maori All Blacks 59-22. So those are the scores before I forget.
We broke 20 though. That's the victory.
Yes.
Well, it's better than the last time we played the Maori.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Last
Seriously.
time we played the Maori, I actually have the score on my stat sheet because I'm insane. Last time we played the Maori, they scored less, but we only scored a converted try. They scored 54 points.
So see what I mean. Another thing too. As I was making my way to the gate, I saw Austin Elite's president Richard Osborne. He recognized me, and as I was talking with him, a friend of the show, Thierry Dupont, came in with two gentlemen from Racing 92. And one of the gentlemen's son. When I mentioned that I was a huge Juan Imal fan, his Argentinian winger that plays there, they were really happy. That we were talking about when they beat Paul the week after that. Before that, excuse me. We took a selfie. The guy took a picture with me. He said, "Hey, when I see Juan, I'm gonna show it to him. I gotta make sure that you say hola." We took a picture together. Richard, Terry, those three guys, and I. Thank you, of course, to Richard for recognizing me, and Terry, and the other three gentlemen for taking a picture. Also, shout outs to Greg Pearson's dad. I got a chance to talk to him. He was he was sitting very close to me. I was talking a little bit with Greg. I took a picture of him. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. That was really fun. I met a lot of the players, the Eagles players, that is, after the game. Tony Purpura saw me and said, "La Victor, I keep seeing you." He's in every old Blue game. And so I go to him and said, "Tony, I keep seeing you. Like, yo, dude, what the heck are you doing here?" And by the way, Tony, friend of the show, thank you, Tony, because I know he listens to the podcast. Dang it. I got again some random Irish guys were dancing around Corey and I in the bar. That was also really fun.
I'd just like to point out, not just dancing around us. There was at least one time he tried to get Victor to dance with him.
Yes.
And you didn't dance?
No, because I was so mad for the fact that I couldn't meet Aaron in person because I wanted to give him a hug. And I said to him in Spanish, "Oh, bro, I love you," but he wasn't there, so I was not in the mood. And I was gonna swing at the guy, and I said, "No, Victor, no, like Aaron, you laugh, bro, you laugh, but not seeing you, in IRL, got me mad. I'll be honest with you."
In Ireland,
IRL, Oh, dude, that's dude.
In real life.
In real life, no, but it sounds like Ireland. He sounds like Ireland. Good point. Good catch, Aaron. I wasn't even thinking of that. I was gonna swing at the guy. I said, "No, Victor, you're the professional. still cool collected, and I did. And, I was having fun talking with Nigel as well, so, he calmed me down. It's like, whatever. But thinking overall, guys, I was in Chicago for literally one day. Just flew on Saturday, flew back on Sunday. Again, it was really fun. Like I said, with Corey, we were in a really nice-ass DoubleTree hotel in downtown Chicago. Had a lot of fun with that. Had a beautiful view, 2 queen-size beds. Corey, I thought I snored. But I had a lot of fun nonetheless. It was really cool.
So, all right, now let's get technical. Onto the match. I guess I'll get this out of the way. I don't really want to spend too much time on it. Sean Davies, he is currently still undergoing evaluation. He's day to day. He's not expected to be fit for the Samoa match. My opinion is that Pari Parkinson's yellow card should have been red. He has, when you lift someone off the ground in a tackle, you have the responsibility to have them land safely. And he was driven down with force, and the law is 9.18. If any part of the upper body or head is driven down with force on a tackle, clear law violation. So, just gonna move on. But let's talk about how we play, guys. Gary said this in the post match. I have it up on YouTube. It's linked on Earful of Dirt Facebook. I think I need to put it in the match recap as well. I'll do that tonight so that you can just watch it after you read the match recap. And then, but he's like, first thing he said we need to work on was defense, right? Because I was like, what are your work-ons? Given the immediate analysis, and he's like, defense. So this is our tackle differential, and this is bad. So 71 attempted tackles, 100 to 167 attempted tackles, 28 missed tackles to 21 missed tackles. So that gives you a tackle completion rate for the U.S. Eagles, 61%, with the tackle completion rate of Maori at 87%. And, of course, as Victor said, the score line was 22-59. So usually when you're getting your butt whooped, you want to be the team that's making more tackles. That really says, where the other team is driving up the tackle rate and they're making you work. What this shows is that they stopped us a lot and that they just ran through us a lot. When it comes to our efficiency, meters gained. A lot of our meters gained were basically garbage meters, to be honest. It was 444 to 703. And let's look at efficiency. This was, we had 444 meters gained on 144 runs. The Maori had 703 meters gained on 89 runs. I guess wanting to look at what we did well, we had parity in the set piece. We won 100% of our scrums. We had 5 scrums. They had 5 scrums. Both of us, it was a 1-to-1 ratio on completion right there. So this is a lot. On 15 of 16 lineouts, we won. They won 10 of 12. On 7 of our lineouts, we went into a maul. This is a little bit concerning, I guess. Not really, because this happens. But you want to have a higher successful rate here, and we were only successful on 4 of our mauls. The Maori only executed 1 maul, but if you saw the way the game was, they only needed to execute the 1. We won 95% of our own rucks, which isn't a bad stat, but we were definitely manhandled at the ruck by comparison. Overall, they were the times they won the ruck against us and changed possession or earned a penalty. They usually scored. Individual contributions. Chance Wingleski this is a guy that has been in the high performance system as a high school All-American, as a junior All-American, as a collegiate All-American. He's still at Lindenwood. He's 21 years old, and he had a very good game in the scrum. He scrummed really well against Ben May, who's a guy with like 250 Super Rugby caps, a ton of All Black caps, and like for a young loosehead going up against that kind of competitor. I just want to see what he does in the scrum, and he held his own. And then around the ruck, he also went to work. He found work. Another guy to talk about, and I mentioned this in the post-game press conference, Dylan Owdsley. He's become a much more physical player, and he really needed to be a physical player with the way the Maori were, and I think most of our completed tackles might have come his way. So sad to see him get deactivated for the rest of the tour. Ruben De Haas. I interviewed him post-match during mixed. I'll get that up tomorrow. Asked him a few questions. So he hasn't played much senior rugby with the Cheetahs this year. He did sign a 3-year contract with them last summer. He played in the Curry Cup, but so far in the Pro 14, he has not had match time. But he did go on their tour to Munster, and he talked about. So he's a guy that is in the training squad that is going on road trips. So that says a lot about where he is, and he's only 20 years old. But I don't really know if we wanted to need an heir so soon to Sean Davies. We sort of saw it over the summer that this is a guy that's going to be blooded to succeed Sean Davies. But if it has to happen sooner than later, because, Sean has had a few concussions in his day, at least for the rest of this tour, we will be okay. He played at a very high level, and he's got some moxie to him. I guess I was talking to Ryan Ginty today, and he was saying, you couldn't see it while you were watching, but on this one scrum before the put in, he was spinning the ball, and he sort of looked like he might have been scared, but he had that smile, that mischievous smile that said, "I'm ready." And he just went to work. His ball speed was great. He was good in the loose, and he's different than the other two top scrum halves that we've had in the past in Nate Augsburger and Sean Davies. He's 6'2". He's pretty thick. He's athletic. He's just different. He's a bigger kind of guy. And then offensively, really, we were without an Aj. And Aj McGinty really brings a different dynamic to the game when he's at fly half. I'll go into the squad changes and why that will help pretty soon. But Will Hooley, he played really well against the competition. He has played very well for Bedford Blues so far this season. But Aj is Aj. He's still, he was the best fly half in the Premiership last year. And that was even coming off injury. So that says a lot. That's how the game went. It was pretty rough.
Yeah, but I guess there's always some moral victories to be found within losses like this, and especially when you're a Tier 2 nation playing a Tier 1 nation, then you got to be okay with finding the moral victories. But kind of like we've been saying the last few weeks, though, there has to come a point when the moral victories aren't enough, that we actually need to start stacking wins. Especially with Samoa coming up, if we actually want to continue this slow, methodical climb up the rankings after we beat Scotland that we kind of started.
By the way, guys, I want to bring up a question real quick. I guess to you, Aaron, since you're our expert. How long do you reckon?
I'm an expert. Just
No.
He's just a dude.
Come on, you don't have to be so modest.
He's just a nerd.
No, you don't have to be so modest. No. But again, you don't have to be so modest. No, in all honesty, how long do you reckon it would take Chance to get to an MLR team?
He's a senior. So whenever he graduates, I'm sure, 86 All-Americans were in camp last summer. 81 of 86 said that they would go to any team in MLR and that they were open to a draft. So if you had a real new player draft, 81 of the All-Americans, which I think 75, yeah. So 75, no, 77. It was 9 players who were seniors. 77 were underclassmen at juniors or old sophomores. So this year, you're going to have like 40 guys that are ready. Chances, I mean, he just did an 80-minute shift at test level. So as he graduates, whoever's thinnest at prop and has money is going to give him a contract that pays him a decent wage in MLR. Considering what decent wages are in MLR right now.
Well, thank you for answering the question. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you, Victor, especially for joining us, for hopping on and sharing your thoughts. It was really wonderful getting a chance to meet you, my friend. So it's great to meet in person.
Definitely. Well, guys, I'm going to be hopping off the call so the rest of the show can continue because I talk a lot and I don't want you guys to be here for another half hour. No, but before I go, guys, for the listeners, if you do not know, I think you have. I'm now in a show of my own with fellow Dominican Rafael Delgadillo with the name of En La Melee, no, En La Melee, as it's been pronounced in this place, En La Melee podcast, which is a Spanish podcast. If you get Spanish-speaking friends, or if you speak Espanol and you want to listen to myself and Rafael, we're coming out every month. We're starting 2019. Hopefully, we're gonna do it every week, every week. Excuse me, if not every 2 weeks. But yeah, just a shameless plug on that right there.
Well, it looks like for the next episode, you're going to have plenty to talk about with Chicago and the ARC all coming up. So,
definitely.
All right. Take care of yourself, Victor. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you.
So this weekend was the start of the November test window for the Eagles. They've got a few more matches coming up. We'll go into the details on that here in a few minutes. But Aaron, I know you had some updates on the roster coming up. What are we looking at?
So from guys that were in the squad, 9 guys have been released to clubs. Dylan Lee, center, Nate Augsburger, wing, he's been released with an injury. He had a quadricep 10. I thought he was supposed to undergo surgery yesterday, but he home back to Diego, so I think he had surgery today. Nate, number 4 lock, Mika Cruz, center. Luke Hume, fullback with injury. He's undergoing evaluation right now. I think it's a lower extremity injury. Ben Landry, number 4 lock. Alex Mon, hooker, prop, and Chance Wingleski, loose head prop. And then there have been 2 call-ups. David Ayunu, loose head prop from Stade Toulousain, and Devereaux Ferris, scrum half, Life West. And also Eric Fry suffered an injury last week, and is out for the next 3 months. So, get well, man. So that is what precipitated the call-up of David Ayunu. So, yeah.
Definitely some disappointing news in there because you never really want to hear about an injury, especially to guys like that in the Eagles camp. But one thing I am definitely disappointed with is Mika Cruz getting sent home from camp. Obviously these things happen. Players need to kind of get recycled, but he's a really young player with a really high ceiling. So I would have liked to see him stay a bit longer and get that development, especially ahead of the MLR season. But hopefully he's going to have a much more prominent role on the Raptors come 2019. So.
Yeah. I that with Bobby Dice, with Bryce King, Paulo Seeke playing in England, they won't be snagging too many caps during the A. So I think Mika Cruz will have plenty of times to earn his a match day squad during those 5 matches that we have in the. So,
well, hopefully we'll see that.
But like, so I guess my commentary on all this is like, usually when you have to play squad rugby, which you saw with the All Blacks this last weekend, they had a bunch of guys who had duty for the Mount Tour that started, and some guys act against Japan, and then their main squad has been now up for their England test. So these guys usually know that they're going to go home. Some of these obviously are changes to injuries with Nate Augsburger and Luke. Luke stay home anyways here. Nate being in the leadership group and being a captain, he was going to be moving forward. I'm guessing with Dylan Owsley, Nate Brakely, and Ben, these guys, in addition to being on MLR teams, they also have jobs. So I'm guessing for everyone else, it was really work-related. Chance Wingleski is still at Lindenwood. I do have some criticism when it comes to the tail of the tape. Of the 3 scrum halves that were selected for the America's Pacific Challenge, Nick Boyer was the best. For me, I watched all 3 games, and he was head and shoulders above both Holden Younger and Devereaux Ferris. But if I were to rank them 1 through 3, I would say the next 2 scrum halves that should be called up would be Nick Boyer and Holden Younger. Nick Boyer, he ended up beating out Nate Augsburger for the starting scrum half role at the San Diego Legion. And Devereaux Ferris ended up coming into the Legion about midway through the season, but he never played a game with the Legion. So I don't understand.
Meanwhile, like Younger started just about every game for the NOLA.
Well, Younger started every single Younger. So Boyer played every game for the Legion, and Younger started every game for NOLA. So it's like, what else can these guys do, right? To get pulled up. So that's really my criticism.
Well, I mean, NOLA had a pretty middling season last season, though. So it's not like Holden Younger made them heads and tails better than what they really would have been. But it's not that he definitely didn't make them any worse. He at least kept them competitive throughout. Because NOLA really wasn't out of the playoffs until about week 4 or 5.
Well, they were still in the playoffs, man. What are you talking about? They were out of the playoffs when Utah won their last game.
Well, I mean, mathematically, yeah, but
bonus points. This is why I hate bonus points.
Mm-hmm.
This is literally why I hate bonus points.
And that's why I hate ties. The one thing pro rugby did was fucking was add overtime.
Wins matter. So, as far as call-ups, they're not really call-ups per se, but guys joining the team from their European assignments, rather, are T.D. Lamosatelli, Bryce Campbell, Paula Seagate, Joe Tafate, Samu Manoa, and Blaine Scully. So with these 6 guys, your team captain is coming in, and your heavy ball carriers. So moving on to the USA versus Samoa preview.
Ooh.
Yep, so that's coming up this Saturday, November 10th. They are going to be playing Samoa in San Sebastian, Spain. So they're actually in Europe. Both teams are up in Europe for this. This game is going to be followed the following weekend, November 17th, by the U.S. traveling to Bucharest to take on Romania. And then November 24th, we're going to be in Dublin facing Ireland. So, Liam, tell us what we're looking at with this Samoa match.
Well, going into going into this game, like kind of like I mentioned earlier, we having just beaten Scotland, but also having just lost to the Maori, we're kind of in this weird place right now where we need to start actually winning games against teams like Samoa. And so I would. This is definitely a winnable game in terms of the talent that we have. We're bringing a squad of people that can actually run with power. Meanwhile, Samoa, they're just a fucking rugby program that's built on running with power. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, and it's going to be a competitive matchup. But it's not going to be like a game versus New Zealand where we're playing for moral points. We're actually playing to win this game, and I think it's definitely a possibility. And I'm sure Aaron's going to go into some statistical tandem about why everything I said is wrong.
We are ranked higher than Samoa.
Mhm.
When their new coach talked a bunch of trash and said, we deserve tier 1 tests. We should not be playing tier 2s anymore. I was like, well, dude, maybe you should beat
Fucking
Georgia
beat
next.
some tier 1s.
Maybe you should beat Georgia next time you play them. Okay? Jeez. We haven't won our last match against Samoa. In fact, we really don't do well against Samoa. But we beat Scotland, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
With the guys that are coming into this squad, we're really not that under strength. Dylan Owdsley is obviously not in the squad that beat Canada, or rather, that is from the squad that beat Scotland. But these 6 guys were in. Actually, TV Lamosatelli, I don't think he played that game. So we have TV Lamosatelli, who is in match fitness, ready to go, who will anchor at the loosehead position. And then you've got another very strong loosehead in David Ayunu, who is playing Champions Cup rugby at 18 years old. He played 40 minutes in their Champions Cup game. I think we're going to be okay. On the front row, I was concerned, but when I found out that we were calling him up, I felt a lot better. And then we're going to be able to dictate the tempo a lot with our heavy ball carriers. Joe Tafate coming back, Semu Manoa. Sounds like he's going to be available for all 3 matches, and then Paul Lasike and Bryce Campbell in the midfield. That just gives you think about this backline. At left wing, you're going to have Ryan Matias. Then you're going to have Paul Lasike at 12 and Bryce Campbell at 13. And Blaine Scully at 14. And then a playmaker probably with Will McGee at 15. That's a pretty physical backline when it comes to how large they are. I think the shortest guy is probably Paul Lasike. But Paul Lasike at 5'11", 200.
Yeah, he's about 5 feet wide though, so
245. Dude's like, people are like, oh, he needs to get into fitness, blah blah, lose some weight. No, he didn't lose a pound since playing Scotland, but he leaned down. He's like, that dude he's a wrecking ball. Like, he is even more of a wrecking ball now than he was against Scotland. So I think this will really put us in a good position to compete and beat Samoa. We need to beat Samoa. Like, going into this tour, I said we need to have we need to go 2-2. We need to be competitive against the Maori. We need to be competitive against Ireland. And then we need to beat, at the time it was Tonga for some reason. But we need to beat Samoa and we needed to beat Romania. The points are for the taking so that we can move forward in the rankings. And we're going to have a side that can do that. Really, the only change here is Ruben De Haas is going to start it at 9. But let's get it. USA by 5.
That would be awesome.
I'm going to go USA by 12. I think I think we keep ourselves ahead, but we get that one more garbage time try to seal the deal.
And as always, I'm a pessimist, so I'm going to go ahead and say Samoa by a try.
Fuck you.
I know. All right, moving along. So we had the ARC announced this week. Actually, just today. That was pretty exciting. Excited to see that come back. So we are going to South America here coming up in February. And then we're going to be back in the States in, I guess, the last week of February and into March. So here's the schedule breakdown, and then we'll go through it real quick and talk about some highlights. We start up February 2nd versus Chile and Santiago. We're going to face the Argentina 15s in Rio Negro on February 9th. We got a bye week, and then February 23rd, we're visiting Houston to take on Brazil. Ooh. And then we'll have the last two matches in March 2nd and March 8th, against Uruguay and Canada, respectively, in Seattle at Starfire, so at the home of the Seawolves. So pretty great stuff. Looks like a good tour, especially having 3 dates in the U.S. and 2 of those dates in the Northwest, where I don't think we've had much ARC action. So what did you guys think of the list?
It's definitely a good thing to be coming out, and it's definitely a great, great list of cities in terms of the tour. What's really good about it, though, is that the emergence of professional rugby on both continents is really starting to become legitimate in the minds of a lot of fans. And the
Whoa! There is no emergence of professional rugby in South America until it happens. Because guess where all those pros are? They're in North America because strategic agreements with those unions are with North American rugby competition, Major League Rugby.
I'm saying the idea of professional rugby is starting to become more of a real concept down in South America. We've already gone over the fact that there isn't, that the league hasn't really come to fruition, despite the fact that there's been talks about it. But as I was saying, though, the professional rugby is starting to become more prominent in the minds of sports fans, on both continents. So I think now that the ARC, it's had, some pretty successful runs in its history. So I think this is going to be a really special one, and we're actually going to see some real crowds actually get pretty excited. Hopefully, a little bit more so than Rugby Weekend.
It's pretty awesome. First real week of November to have this out. Last year it wasn't out until December, so yeah. There's that. I must be a prognosticator because I said last summer that Seattle needed a test match, and guess what? They get 2 in a row. But Rugby Canada is hosting a test match at Starfire Stadium. Is this real?
They just want to buy the beer for the post match. It's just a labels thing.
Is this real? Well, it's a weird weekend. If I was going to do that, since it's a Canada home match, obviously this is an expenses thing. If they could make it happen, it would have been smart and awesome to have that game on Friday, which it is on a Friday, at BC Place, sell the shit out of that, and then it is Vancouver Sevens on the 9th and 10th. Now, that would be an awesome event, wouldn't it? This is going to be interesting. I'm talking to she doesn't call it the boss anymore, but I'm talking to the lady of the house about us taking a late winter / spring trip to the Pacific Northwest for this match in Vancouver Sevens. So yeah, that's my opinion. 3 matches in the US, and they'll be in nice little intimate grounds so that they make good TV products.
3 matches in the US, 2 of which are home games.
So I'm pretty sure both matches are going to be double headers. So how do Yeah. Let's just move on.
It's about who buys the beer after the game, as far as I'm concerned.
There you go. So the last real news item we wanted to hit on was that on Friday, while Aaron and I were enjoying some adult beverages at Lost Afternoon and chatting up some players, MLR decides to drop a press release saying that the former Ontario Arrows, now to be known as the Toronto Arrows, and DC MLR are both confirmed real-life official members of MLR. Not in discussions, not in negotiations. They are part of the league. So Toronto Arrows are joining this season, 2019, and then DC MLR is slated for 2020. Apart from a name and logo change, what's this mean for MLR, guys?
Well, we saw last season the NOLA Gold face the MAC All-Stars, the MAC All-Stars. There was the Selects or the Liberty City Selects, something like that.
Capital Selects.
There we go. That's why
Houston Sabercats played them too, man.
Yeah, but fucking college. Anyway, but a lot of those guys we could probably expect to see playing for DC because it's the same sort of region. So that might have been a very slight preview of what this squad could look like. Hopefully they perform a little bit better because as far as I remember, they weren't exactly high scoring or that competitive against either Houston or NOLA, except for maybe in a few facets of their game. So I think, definitely think it's really cool. But the other thing I want to hit on, and perhaps the most important, is the fact that the Toronto Arrows' new logo looks like the logo for a summer camp. And I really missed the old one, which I thought was, dark, sleek, and sexy.
I dug the Ontario Arrows name and the Toronto skyline as their logo with the needle. I thought it was awesome. But I'm more when it comes to Toronto's logo-ish. I'm not really, the logo's okay. I'm more vexed about the colors because that blue, gray, and gold scheme that was on their kit last year was
fire.
It was fire. So DC guys, we hooked you up. We did the market research. It is Lightning Unicorns. And it doesn't matter what 100%. You guys change the name to, you are known as the Lightning Unicorns.
This podcast is only getting bigger and bigger, and I promise you, we will be referring to your team as nothing but the damn Lightning Unicorns. So you may as well get on board now.
So yeah, we've got 12 confirmed teams for next season. I've heard that there may be another team in the mix for 2020. I thought that was interesting. So if that happens, we're going to have an unbalanced schedule next year.
Again?
Yeah.
I mean, haven't we been unbalanced?
Well, we've got a balanced schedule this year because it's home and away. Next year, the intent is to have, from what I understand, is to have 16 regular season matches. So next year, I have no idea how you.
Well, if we have 12 teams, there can realistically be 2 divisions, so they might be able to.
With 12 teams, it's easy. You do 2 divisions, right? You play your division or conference home and away, and then you play everyone else in the other conference. Mm-hmm. But with 13, it gets weird.
Well, I mean, when you have a team called the Lightning Unicorns, things are going to be weird anyway. So I think we should just lean into the weirdness and accept it.
Can't wait to see that mascot.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be electric. All right. So with all that said, I think we are probably on our way out. So do you guys have any final thoughts before I close this thing down?
The next time you guys will be seeing me, I will probably be in either Nashville or New Orleans, or, like I said, chopped up in the garage of a serial killer in Kentucky.
So will you actually be on the show if you're dead?
That remains to be seen. I did study a little bit about philosophy and metaphysics in college, so, I could be on the show and not be on the show, dependent on your I need to go to fucking bed.
All right. So we're live this week with Ryan Fitzgerald of NOLA Gold. I need to confirm with him tomorrow, but it will either be earlier in the evening tomorrow night, or it will be Wednesday night. Again, earlier than the evening when this podcast usually goes live.
Awesome.
To talk recruitment for the 2019 season.
And about the only thing I got to say is just a big thank you to the people of Chicago for hosting a great weekend of rugby. And yeah, I had a fantastic time, and I was just really fortunate to meet some great Chicagoans while I was up there. So thank you so much for hosting us. All right, let's go to bed. Be sure to tune in next week. We are live every Monday night on YouTube and available for download on your favorite platform, podcast platform, every Wednesday morning. If you like what we do, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and our iTunes feed. It helps folks find us. And be sure to share your own news, views, and abuse with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can subscribe to us there, interact. You can also shoot us an email anytime you like at earfulofdirt@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back. At least two of us will be back next week. We will pray for Liam's safety and catch you then. Take care, everybody.
Peace.